All right, everyone. Happy New Year, or whatever applies. It is back to the Crypto Rundown, and we're doing good over here. I don't make any New Year's resolutions, but I do old year's reflections. And wow, what a year we had in 2022, including our move here to YouTube at the beginning of this show. So that's been pretty awesome. A lot of these tags and behind me came from last year, as did this. So I want to say thank you to all of our supporters. And one of our new supporters that we brought on last year is joining me today, Brendan Veeman. I could not have gotten through last year without you. So thank you, sir, and welcome to the Crypto Rundown.
Hey, you're too kind to me. It was what a time to join, right? In the heart of yet another crypto bear market, but it was an exciting one. It was like something that we've never seen before.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of news and nonsense and noise that we had never seen before. But as far as the price action goes, this is really similar to 2018. None of it was too surprising to me or you. We just simply look at the charts, and that's the only truth there is, to be honest. Everything else is really just out there to generate fear or elation. But through it all, your positive energy and your outlook and your resolve has been very infectious for Crypt Nation, for us over here at the team. So we definitely want to get you more and more FaceTime this year. So that's tremendous. Glad to have you on today.
Yeah, one of the things that I feel like everyone overlooks over the last year is that for every 100 good things that happened, there was like one bad thing. So there's a couple of big bad things, and everyone's letting it overshadow everything good that happened. There was news that had we not been in a bear market, everyone would be calling for like $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 Bitcoin because of some of the major institutional advancements that have happened, not only in Bitcoin, but a lot of the altcoins as well. So, I think you're right. We need to make sure that it doesn't get overshadowed because there has been so much positive foundational growth to not only crypto, but like blockchain technology as a whole.
Yep, absolutely. Super producer Tivo, Happy New Year. How you doing over there?
Happy New Year, Pizza. Happy New Year, Brendan. I'm doing great. Positive vibes. I got a new background, so that's my New Year's resolution is to look better for you guys.
Trying to compete is in this year,
right? Trying to compete with your awesome shirts. And I hate to be this guy, but I agree with Brendan. A lot of positives over the years, but sometimes the negative is the news wire, and we have some negative stuff going on. This week, Bitcoin developer Luke Dash Jr. got hacked for 200 plus Bitcoins. That's over $3 million. And I'm not as familiar with this guy. I think, Pizza, you know him a little bit better, but I think the worrisome on the timeline that I saw was this guy was a Bitcoin dev. He's an OG. If it can happen to him, it can happen to anybody.
Yeah, this was a real kick in the nuts, especially for the Bitcoin community that likes to tout itself as so high and mighty and above everyone else. And to have one of their own beloved get got. It was a very humbling experience for a lot of them. But the situation is really not so much Bitcoin wallet security as it is making sure your computer that has your Bitcoin wallet is safe and secure. And there's so many new attack vectors that come out literally every day. It's impossible for anyone, even a Bitcoin developer, to keep up with it because he's a Bitcoin developer, not a security researcher, and neither are any of us. So this goes to show the importance of keeping your Bitcoin wallet off the main machine that you use every day. And that's just a simple thing that people can do. Things are safe and secure when they're off. Also, the one thing that I think is just really silly and goes to show the arrogance of the Bitcoin community is the fact that he had all that Bitcoin in one wallet. I don't have anywhere near 200 Bitcoin. I don't have anywhere near 20 Bitcoin. And yet I have 4 different wallets that I use on a regular basis that are completely different from one another and separated out just so I can never get taken for everything. Because that's really the name of the game here, is protecting your downside. As long as you don't get wiped out, the upside of the rest of the market growth will make up for whatever you lose. So, no matter who you are out there, however long you've been in this game, you got to keep your ego in check. And a lot of these OG Bitcoiners have completely failed that test.
Yeah, I mean, well said. I think it's something that, as kind of a novice myself, of somebody that monitors the space, um, this has to be figured out in some facet. Like some technology needs to come along to help this, because ever since I've been keeping tabs on crypto for 4 years or whatever, this always comes up, and you're not going to get those basic retail people to come on in, or even scare away some institutions, even though they are coming in. Like, I don't understand why this problem can't be fixed, except, having your own hardware wallet in your pocket and everything off. What if you lose that?
Yeah, those are kind of the older solutions that still work, but there's some new things coming out, like the Shen2 blockchain, like Parsec. And what these things will do is there's services that you sign up for that will monitor the mempool on major blockchains, and they'll monitor activity from your wallet. And if they sense anything that is out of the ordinary, they will alert you right away. And in some cases, if you're quick enough to react, or these guys are running a node, they might be able to steal that transaction out of the mempool and then send another transaction to override and drop it, essentially canceling the movement of your hacked funds. So there are things like that that are out there in their infancy right now, but I think things like that will become like the next antivirus for Web3.
Shout out John McAfee.
Very, absolutely. It's just very, very early in its infancy right now. But
Janice McAfee actually got in our DMs. She said she wants to come back on the show. Maybe we should bring her on the rundown.
That'd be great. I think this would be an awesome place to have a conversation with her again. Wonderful lady.
Pizza's right about a lot of the security stuff too. There is so much money and so much effort going into developing further blockchain security, and he's spot on about the way that they're doing it. It's basically these systems that are going to be put in place to monitor activity on different blockchains and sense abnormalities or like inconsistencies, and even try to find exploits before hackers are able to utilize them, so that these teams and these projects can prevent it before any of this ever even happens. And that's like the big push that I've seen this year, is the rise in these companies and these projects trying to implement that. And so I think over the course of 2023, especially moving into 2024, we're not only going to see a lot more of that in like the news and the publications that we're reading about, but I think even this year we'll start to see the first like implementation of these technologies get rolled out to these select groups that are choosing to use them. And I, for one, am excited about that, because what that'll mean is that hopefully we'll see less hacks, less exploits, less people losing money, and we will be able to have more transparency and ideally save a lot of people that are maybe just like a little bit less informed. The people who don't have all of their day every single day, like me and you, Pizza, to just study this stuff. The people who don't have excessive amounts of time to go and research this. Hopefully it'll save like the average person just a little bit more money and stress, right? That's the end goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well said, guys. I know if there's anybody who knows what's coming next, it's you two. So we'll definitely keep the tabs on that. The other thing that I saw this week, speaking of transparency, is the Winklevoss Twins and Genesis are going after DCG and Barry Tilbert on the Twitter timeline. Now, I know this is something that has been ongoing, but it was an open letter tweeted to the masses on Twitter. It got a lot of traction. Are you guys keeping tabs on this? I know they're looking for answers. Basically, the Winklevoss Twins and Genesis want answers.
Yeah, it's the war of the behemoths here, because most people don't realize how big DCG is. Stands for Digital Currency Group, and we're talking about a group that owns like Grayscale. They're in charge of Grayscale, Foundry, Genesis, CoinDesk, like a lot of the big players in crypto that just kind of operate. DCG is the one behind the scenes.
If you go and buy Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, I saw that they have their own CEO. I saw him on CNBC a couple weeks ago. So that guy works for DCG. That's like a parent company.
Yeah, so DCG is the parent company for a lot of these big names in crypto. And it's funny because CoinDesk has been making articles, and they're like, by the way, DCG is our parent company too. And you can hear like the panic in their voice as they're writing it.
Yeah, Barry Silbert's been around the space a really, really long time. So with that said, when you hear something like that, the assumption is that means they know what they're doing. But if you've also been around here a really, really long time, you would realize a lot of people who've been around here don't know what they're doing at all. They were just in on an amazing opportunity in a completely Wild West environment where there were no rules, no regulations, zero laws around, fractional reserve holdings or anything like that. Zero laws around security again. So we have no idea how solvent any of these things really are. We just simply assume that everything in Grayscale's trusts are held one for one on Coinbase custody. We at least know that Coinbase custody is where the stuff is held. Coinbase has come out saying, yeah, there's a big pile of stuff over here, but we're not going to give the wallet addresses due to security concerns, which tells you that security is still a concern, even with just about having a public address, nothing else. So
do you guys know any of the details of this? Like, here, I'm reading off the Twitter. So
yeah, basically, so Gemini has this earn product where people will put their funds on Gemini and earn a yield on it. Well, those funds then go through Genesis, and there's more rumors that Genesis and DCG have been commingling funds like Alameda and FTX did, and there's a hole there where I believe Genesis owes DCG like $800 million or one of those two parties, something like that.
So I'm reading it now. So it's the Winklevoss twins are claiming in the note that there's 1.675 billion outstanding borrowed funds borrowed by DCG, and then Barry's like, DCG did not borrow $1.65 billion from Genesis. And DC, so they're basically saying it's not a borrow, but we've also never missed an interest payment on the current loans.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's adding up. And then in the whole thread, Barry's like, Barry's like, I actually did respond to all this and I haven't gotten a reply from you. And they're doing all this over like Christmas break, where like their lawyers and stuff are not checking their emails.
They're doing it on Twitter. They're doing it.
Yeah, so not professional, not a good look, not the way to handle things, for sure. Yes, it's a large sum of money. Maybe it's a coordinated move by billionaires to try and drop crypto down just a little bit more so they can buy in cheaper. We know that would never happen. Yeah, man. So I just kind of stick to my core principles, is that super rich people manipulate the market in their interest, and whatever the story they're telling is really bullshit compared to the longer term future. I think I think it doesn't really matter. However, if all this does come to light that DCG is insolvent and there's not enough Bitcoin behind the Grayscale trusts and regulators come in and seize it and whatever, that will be a big, big deal. So I'm not buying the dip on GBTC right now. However, man, being able to get 2-for-1 Bitcoin right now, if you do believe in Barry Silbert and you do have some inside news that supports his arguments, getting to buy 2-for-1 Bitcoin right now is going to be the best buy of your life.
So GBTC is officially down 45% compared to relative Bitcoin. That was today. So it hit that mark today.
Yeah.
It's not something I want to touch. But Pizza, did you see the quote from the Winklevoss twins? Is the absolute no holds barred, just full on attack at Silbert. They basically released a statement after Silbert was like, I don't know what you're talking about. We already sent you a proposal, or we already sent you a reply. And the Winklevoss twins just erupted. And, I'm going to read the quote here, but they said, you took this money, the money of school teachers, to fuel your greedy share buybacks, illiquid venture investments, and kamikaze grayscale trades, all at the expense of creditors and all for your own personal gain. It was just like this full on attack message. And the weird thing about it was all public. Like you guys said, it's all public. Yeah. This isn't things happening behind the scenes. And all of these letters are in open letter format that are being written and then published to Twitter. So I don't think we've like really ever seen business done quite like this in history, because now we have this massive social audience that we can just blast information onto.
I'll put a picture up here, but it's literally like a Word doc. No logos, no nothing professional. Just a 2-pager Word doc.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, we haven't seen the Winklevoss twins explode this much since they were screwed over by Facebook as original founders there.
You'd wish for like a happy ending for them after the Social Network came out. People were like, oh, I'm kind of rooting for them. And then no, here we go. Maybe they'll have a second movie about them where they have their guest appearance and get screwed over again.
Yeah, fascinating to find
yourself
on the wrong
side. It just goes to show you, like, no matter how smart you are, no matter how rich you are, you have to rely on other people in business. And if other people are not reliable, people that are out of your control, it can really, really screw over everything that you've done right.
Do you guys think it's too early to say who's at fault here?
Yeah, I think so. I don't have a dog in the race at this point.
Yeah, it just seems like a shit show on the timeline, honestly.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go with some positive things. I know you guys covered it this week on the newsletter, and some price action today in Solana, showing some positivity. Obviously, a huge sell-off recently with ties to FTX and SAM, but the price action is showing some positivity. So is it dead cat bounce, or you see any positive development in this space?
Yeah, it's hard. They're in a really tough spot, and ever since the FTX implosion, they've seen a couple of big things happening. Number one, their key liquidity contributors and their key decentralized exchanges have been getting routinely attacked. And number two, big projects that are a part of their ecosystem that also bring a lot of users. We're talking about like DeGods and Utes. Both of those are leaving the Solana ecosystem for the very competitor that like Solana was supposed to be. So Solana was created to be this Ethereum killer. That's what a lot of people called it. And now what you have is key communities, key projects on Solana, like DeGods and Utes, leaving for Ethereum and Polygon. So the very thing that Solana was supposed to quote unquote kill, whether you take that in a literal or a metaphorical like sense, they're leaving to the competitor that they're supposed to be putting in the grave. And so that's a little bit of a red flag for me, is that projects, key projects, big projects are leaving Solana for the Ethereum competitor. And number two, with all these decentralized exchanges and key liquidity contributors to Solana being attacked, Solana was already having liquidity issues because FTX was one of the biggest contributors, one of the biggest backers, both socially and financially, to Solana. They own something like over 50 million Solana tokens. That's what they were entitled to. And so they were already in a bit of a sticky situation from a liquidity standpoint. And then you have some of the DEXs over there just being hit, being hacked, being exploited. And it's a tough situation for them. So now what you're looking at is that not only is liquidity drying up, price action's down 96% from its all-time high, and then you have the big projects that are beginning to move to competitor blockchains. And so I wouldn't say this means that Solana is dead, but I think it's a little bit of a wake-up call for them to say, hey, we need to start getting things back on track in order to kind of turn this ship around. And at this time, you'd expect that if anyone was going to come kind of add on to the hammering that's happening to Solana, you'd expect that it would maybe be the leader of its competitor, Vitalik from Ethereum. But he's actually come out and had some choice words that are really kind about Solana, saying, he doesn't want to see it. He wants to see it be given a fair chance. And he doesn't really believe that they should just be part of this downfall because of FTX's mistakes. Again, they have their own team. They are their own project. Well, FTX did play a big part in bringing Solana to where it was at its peak. They still are their own project. And so Vitalik's basically saying, hey, I hope this doesn't sign the death note. I hope you guys do get a fair opportunity. And I think that's nice. It shows that there's sportsmanship.
Yeah, I don't think anything's going to be the Ethereum killer. We've been talking about that for 6 years, and Ethereum just keeps taking more and more market share instead of the opposite. Solana is really built for extremely fast finality. versus Ethereum, which takes, 30 confirmations or whatever it is. So there's some specific use cases that Solana is still very, very good for. There's some very, very good developers over there. And this is kind of the great reset just for the Solana ecosystem. Wipe out all the garbage that came in there that was riding on FTX's coattails, and, start building things that have actual value and work together with their money Legos. And Solana is going to be finished bridging to Cosmos this year, I presume. And that's going to, open up a lot more doors as well. Even though FTX and Alameda are out of the way, Jump Capital is still one of their big supporters. One of the biggest firms in the world. So for all the devastation that's taken place over there, there's still a lot more concrete on that foundation to keep it solid. So I'm not surprised to see people buying up this dip, but I would say any 10% price jump in a market like this is time to sell. Take your profits, wait for it to fall another 10% again, and buy back.